Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of Super Film Headz, the premier, I almost said Nintendo, the premier movie podcast on all of the internet. Oh my goodness gracious. My name is David Howe.
I'm Gougar.
I'm Amir Zamen.
Oh my goodness gracious. We've got a brand new podcast for you people. This is a kind of a experimental new episode of a bonus show that we're wanting to do, a spin-off of Super Switch Heads, Super Film Headz. Very excited to have all you guys here. If you're listening like right when this comes out, that means you're probably in the Patreon tier that gets bonus content early. But this show will be eventually released for everybody. And you know, we got a bunch of film heads in the Switch Heads Discord server, right? We're always talking. I feel like that is the channel of the server that gets the most love outside of like general.
Yeah. I get a lot of Splatoon notifications that I have to ignore, but you know, outside of that.
Yo, pro tip, turn off notifications for the Splatoon channel. That's what I do. I have @ only on the Splatoon channel.
I kind of just turn off notifications on all of the channels, but like peruse it because I have too many Discord channels, Discord servers.
Yeah. But yeah, what is this podcast? Who knows? We're kind of figuring it out. These are some of the best film heads we got in the Discord, in the Switch Heads community. And we've all watched a lot of the Best Picture noms and a lot of the Oscar noms this year. So I think we wanted to do kind of like a pre-Oscars sort of predictions episode, what maybe our wants, what we thought our favorite movies of 2023 were, but all through like kind of the lens of the Oscar nominations. I guess getting into it, like I am kind of a sucker for awards shows, and I love the Oscars. Like I watch the Oscars every year. Are you guys like Oscars heads? Like, do you guys get into it every year?
I used to. I got really good at predicting it, and then like all the historical trends have kind of shifted in the last like 6 years or so. So it's kind of harder to predict now, but it's fine. I'm kind of indifferent towards the award shows in general, but I usually keep up with it.
Yeah. What about you, Hans?
I don't know. I have a weird relationship with the Oscars. I kind of like them, and I also think they're bogus. So it's like, but like, also I don't watch them typically because I don't actually have like the ability to watch it for free, and I don't really feel like paying for a TV service just to watch the Oscars. But like, if I just happen to be able to watch them, you know, I'll watch them. Like we happened to have TV when the Oscars were a couple of years ago, and I did get to see Will slap Chris Rock in the face live, which was an interesting experience.
That was the beginning of the downfall of mankind.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it ruled.
Do you guys think there's going to be another stunt like that this year?
I don't know.
I doubt it. They're so afraid of anything like that happening again. They're going to keep everything on lock.
It was so surreal because I legitimately thought it was a bit until then I was scrolling Twitter and people were like, "Nope, that was real." And I'm like, "All right."
Oh my God. It's like 9/11. It's like, where were you when
culturally a little more significant, I would say, but you know.
I would say definitely more significant event was the slap than 9/11. I think we can all agree on that. Very good.
Anyway, we didn't need to get on that tangent, but you know.
No. Let's talk more about 9/11 on this podcast.
And Chris Rock.
Hey, look, when you bring me on, it comes up.
I did see Chris Rock is going to be directing an American version of Another Round, the Thomas Vinterberg movie. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, and the director said if it sucks, he's gonna slap him.
Which is likely, but I guess before we actually get into the Oscar stuff, because we're basically what we're gonna do is go through all the Best Picture nominees, kind of what our thoughts were on the movies, if we've seen them, and then probably just go through the other categories and give our picks, or maybe our what kind of like what we hope wins, and then what we think is gonna win, right? And then this will be kind of like a bit of a companion piece before the Oscars come out, and maybe we'll touch base after the Oscars and do it. I don't know. This is an experimental show, baby. This is just this bonus content for the people.
Yeah,
we love doing it. But I guess real quick, let's quickly shit on David Zaslav. We were talking. He's in the news. Zaslav seems to always be making a total ass of himself in the fucking news. Like this time, it's they were shopping around Coyote versus Acme. I'm sure you guys have been following this whole story.
Vaguely, but yeah.
Yeah, like being in the animation like industry, like it's particularly in my circles, everybody's talking about this, but it's like, you know, they were like, oh, we're not gonna do the tax write-off thing. We're going to try to sell it to like Netflix or whatever, but they kept asking for like way more money than the movie was worth, and then now they're saying they're gonna delete it forever. How do we feel about this, guys?
I mean, yeah, I think if you're gonna delete it, public domain, it's just free now.
That's
like,
yeah.
I mean, the sad thing is this isn't even like new. Like this is just another one in the long string of things like this happening. You know, like there was a YouTuber I used to watch a long time ago, Owen Rogers, who had an animated show on TBS, and then TBS was bought by something, and then that was bought by Max, and his show, you can't find it. Like you could like maybe get aftermarket DVDs, but you literally can't. I think for some of it, you can't watch it even if you had already purchased it. In certain countries, and it's just like, I'm not really in the like creative film industry, but I am a creative. I do work in film.
You're in the film industry,
somewhat, but I don't like make movies or whatever. But this crap scares me. Like, just I'd like to, you know, even if I make something and then it gets canceled or whatever, like I'd like to at least be able to have it exist out there somewhere. But apparently, I did see something where it was screened in one theater with just like friends and family of the people who
Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah. And and because of that, it's like it is eligible for certain like awards or something. So some people had this idea to just nominate it for a bunch of crap just to make like just to tick off Zaslav, which would be funny, I think.
That would be funny.
Yeah, but
apparently he hasn't watched it as the latest thing that I've heard. It's like he hasn't even watched it. He's like, we're writing it off.
And the other one is obviously the Batgirl one that that had, you know, an interest, and like who knows if it would have been good. I don't even care. I feel like that's not even a part of the conversation. If it exists, if a bunch of people put their time into it, it should be allowed to release. And it's like cool that like Brendan Fraser was in that Batgirl movie and whatever. It's just, I don't know.
Right before he won an Oscar.
Yeah.
It's like if it's done, like you've already put the money into it. Just release it, get a little bit back, and you know, hey, it's here, taking up space on our servers for no space. You know what I mean? Like it's fine.
I mean, I think that this should be illegal. I think that this is like one of those things. It's like, I think like AI is like, there's a bunch of like regulation that's going to come out soon about AI. I think if this keeps happening, people are going to start making enough stink to where there's going to be actual like legislation that happens to where it makes this illegal. Because it does feel like they're also manipulating the tax system, right? In order to like do this. So that should be raising flags in Washington. And then also I just think that like, this is driving so many people back towards piracy. Like one of my favorite shows from the last couple of years was Pantheon. That was pulled from AMC Plus before they even released the season 2, which was completed, right? And it was just sitting there in a vault and they couldn't release it. You know, that show Pantheon was pulled and then Amazon picked it back up, but then it was only Amazon New Zealand and Australia that picked it up. So I couldn't even watch it even if I wanted to. So the way I had to watch that show was like going to the Pirate Bay.
Sounds like we need a NordVPN sponsorship.
Yeah.
Or at least the piratebay.org sponsorship. I don't know if they give those out, but
I can't condone a crime, but you know, I can look the other way.
I can. I'm anti-IP.
Even just stuff like on Disney Plus with like Willow and The World According to Jeff Goldblum or whatever, those just like don't exist anymore. You can't find them unless you pirate them, and it just sucks. Like I don't know. I didn't watch Willow. I don't know if it would have been good. It sounds like it was bad, but I still don't care. Like I think it should exist, especially if they, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. I think the world needs more bad things.
Yeah.
In it. You know, everything can't be good. It sets unrealistic expectations.
Hey, I'm doing my part. All right.
I like to see movies, even if I think they're going to be bad, because I still have interesting conversations about movies I think are bad. So
also just, you know, a message to anyone working in the creative industry: save local copies on your own hard drives of stuff that you're working on, because this will happen, and then you kind of have a moral obligation to leak Coyote versus Acme. Whenever all the dust settles and this thing is deleted forever.
Or support your used video stores. I don't have one here in Huntsville, but when we lived a little further south, we had a used store. I was able to get cool Blu-rays and 4K discs for pretty cheap. Well,
anyway, that's enough. That's enough ranting and raving at the top of the show. Let's get into the main topic here, which is about good movies. I would say this Oscars year, I guess this is Oscars 2023. This is kind of one of the strongest Best Picture lineups I think we've seen in a really long time. I think, in my opinion, I've actually seen all of these movies on the Best Picture lineup this year. Mm-hmm. It's kind of rare for me that I get to do that. I've been, I'm an Alamo season pass holder. I think all of us are like some kind of theater subscription
AMC
member. Something. You are too, right, Amir?
No, I raw dog. I go to whatever theaters playing,
Hell yeah. We love that. Well, that's great. Well, either way, I feel like I've been lucky to have seen pretty much most of these movies this year. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think it's pretty good. Maybe we could just start kind of alphabetically through the Best Picture noms. American Fiction. We see this. You guys see American Fiction?
Yeah. So I go to AMC because it's like the only chain near me. Like I would probably go to Alamo, but I don't have one near me. And AMC has actually what I think is a really cool event series they do called Screen Unseen, where they tell you what the rating is and what the length of it is, but they don't tell you what the movie is at all. And you go see it. And so I went to see American Fiction, and I had not even, and this is pretty rare for me, I had not even seen a trailer for it. So I didn't know anything about it. And I really liked it. I thought it was really funny. I think some people have issues with its balancing of tones, and I can see that, but I had a blast with it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I really do like
Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright. Wright, I thought was really good in it.
Yeah, he was great. I thought
he's always good.
The performances were excellent in this all the way around. I thought Jeffrey Wright was amazing. Sterling K. Brown was really good.
He was almost too good. I feel like he was almost like his character felt like it was in a different movie. I think that I could see that. But I agree he was excellent, but it almost took away from the pretty ridiculous comedy bits that he was that good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I just was distracted by Sterling K. Brown's bubble butt the entire movie. That man has a shapely ass in a way that is very pleasing to an audience. Well. Yeah, he's just a handsome gentleman in general. But yeah, so I'm kind of the opposite of you, Hans. I saw this trailer a bunch before the movie came out. So I liked this movie a lot, but I also really liked the trailer. That was true for a couple movies this year. Iron Claw was another one. I just saw that trailer so many times, and I loved the trailer. So I was kind of let down by the movie a little personally on Iron Claw, and I think a little bit on this one. I think it's probably worth being in the Best Picture nominees. I think it is a good movie. Again, a lot of and the tone changes didn't really bother me that much. I kind of like when a movie kind of jumps back and forth between comedy and drama. But for me, it was kind of just I was hoping that the satire would just go even further with it. You know what I mean? It was a very spot on kind of takedown of the libs in Hollywood or in media, and wanting to be performative with their whatever you want to say, inclusion and DEI stuff. It was a great kind of treatise on that. But I just felt if you're gonna do that, really fucking dig in, you know what I mean? And I guess it was just kind of a thing for me. It was where a lot of the best stuff was in the trailer, and I was a little underwhelmed. But what did you think about this movie, Amir?
I didn't see this one. I saw the trailer a bunch, and I kind of was oh, this feels Oscar baity, and it did get nominated for a lot. So I do think I think this one probably has the strongest chance to steal Best Picture.
Oh, really?
I again haven't seen it, but I could see a world where this wins it.
Yeah.
I don't think
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't put money on it, but
Yeah.
I'm saying like I can envision a world where this happens, where
I guess I can see that. Yeah.
I honestly, I don't think I could see it personally, but that's not to say that it's because it doesn't really actually, when you see it, it doesn't really feel Oscar baity to me. It's a little more sardonic than it is Oscar.
Again, this is based only on the trailer.
Less Green Book and more like satirical, you know.
How close to Bamboozled is it?
I haven't seen Bamboozled. I'm sorry.
Oh man, I saw that like kind of recently, and so it's something.
I was legitimately surprised that this one got a lot of awards attention. Like I just, again, I had no idea what the movie was. I guess, so I go to AMC all the time, but they never played that trailer in front of any of the movies I saw. So I don't know why. AMC just didn't want to promote that one.
Yeah.
But then they put it in a screen on TV. But anyway, you know, coming out of it, I thought, wow, that was just like a good, funny movie. And I did not realize that it was one of those of like, oh, keep an eye on this one for awards. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can see it. But it didn't feel like that as much to me. But anyway.
Last thing I'll say about American Fiction is just, you know, Cord Jefferson, first-time director. It's always great to see directorial debut from someone, see it do really well. He was a writer on the Watchmen HBO series, which I loved. And I think that he was getting a lot of momentum, and so this is kind of like finally a project that he'd been working towards for a while. So good on you, Cord. There was a lot of great like first time nominees here. Like I know like Sammy Birch for May December, that was her first screenplay, and I thought that's my pick for screenplay, but we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, yeah, Anatomy of a Fall. Did you guys see this one?
I did not.
Yeah, loved it.
Okay,
loved
so Amir, you did. So tell me what your thoughts on this movie are, Amir.
Well, I mean, at the beginning, for a minute, I thought she was married to 50 Cent, which was kind of fun.
The motherfucking PIMP.
Yeah. Because you just hear that song, and he's like, "Oh, my husband, he's working." And I was like, "Is he making the song? Like what?" I didn't
what
get it.
What year is this set? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I just loved it. It's just like a sick little legal drama that it's just like, bam. I thought the ending was a little iffy, but. Just there's like a 30-minute chunk at the end there. I was like, okay. But I fucking love this movie. It's ruled.
I was also really impressed by this movie. This is not one that I saw in theaters. I watched this at home over Christmas break with my dad. And we were both just like glued to the screen. It was like impossible to look away. And it's like, and you're right, it's very inauspicious. It's very kind of unassuming, this movie. And I think that's working towards its favor. I think there's a lot of really good movies this year. Past Lives is another one that are pretty simple films. You know, they're not shooting above their weight or anything like that. And I think this is another great one. You got a great performance from Sandra Hüller here, who is nominated for Best Actress for this role. She's lead actress in another Best Picture nom we'll get to here in a second as well. But yeah, I was like kind of surprised at how much I love this. I mean, I'd heard really great things, but it was just something about the pacing. I think the editing was really, really great in this movie as well. It's like, because it's pretty long. It's like 2.5 hours, something like that, maybe. But it doesn't feel it. It's got a great like clip. And I think this one is definitely up here. I think it's funny that France did not put this forward as their foreign. Yeah, they put another movie toward it. Then didn't get nominated, right? There was some confusion about that whenever the nominations dropped, but yeah.
I would like to see this one. I heard a really interesting piece of criticism about it, not like bad criticism, just criticism in general. I listen to a lot of movie reviewers, and someone said like it's cool how this movie, it's like about trying to figure out if she did this crime. But it's like they're investigating her marriage and how that is like, it's like how much of that is actual motive and how much of it is just like they had a couple of issues in their marriage. But then when there's a murder involved, so it sounds really fascinating to me. I'm curious to see it.
There's a lot of really cool stuff happening in this movie for sure. And also just real quick before we move on, if there was an Oscar for dog performances, the dog from Anatomy of a Fall, I think would absolutely have to be considered.
Snoopy, right?
something like that. No, Snoopy's in Maestro. We'll get to that in a second.
I think that's what the dog's name was.
But no, yeah, I don't know. Maybe his name was Snoopy. I forget. But anyway, that dog was incredible. I actually don't know how they did that scene. And when you finally see it, Hans, you'll know what I'm talking about. But let's move on to Barbie. We're getting to the Barbenheimer part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Barbie. I thought Barbie was an awesome movie. I loved it. It didn't really crack my top 10 or maybe even my top 15 for the year. There was just a lot of great movies that came out this year.
Yeah.
But I did love this movie, and I totally see why it's nominated. I think justifiably so. What were y'all's thoughts on Barbie, and what are your? Do you think it's got any Oscar chances for any category this year?
That second part, I have no idea. I don't spend a whole lot of time like actually predicting what's gonna happen, but I know that's the point of this pod, so yes, it's gonna win everything. But I did really like Barbie. I saw that with my wife before I went to see Oppenheimer by myself the next day. But I really liked it. I think that it was just a good movie. It's and I want to be careful. It's weird how we kind of live in a world where if you don't think something is the best thing of all time, then you're like anti-feminist, or you're like what? Yeah. And I'm just like,
you're a camp.
No, I really liked the movie. I liked Oppenheimer better because it's just more my kind of movie, I guess. But like, it's a fantastic movie, and the performances are really good. I think the way that the like world building in it works just was a little bit weird to me, and I didn't love that aspect of it as much. So I think that's maybe what held it back a little bit for me, but I still gave it like 4 stars. Like, it's a good movie.
For me, I mean, it was kind of similar, I mean, out of Barbenheimer, I think Oppenheimer was more my speed, but I also, I mean, I loved this movie too. I thought it was like really cleverly written. I think that this was a year full of brand movies, right? The brand biopic was all about was this year. We had Tetris, we had Air, we had Flamin' Hot. It was just like and I would put, and arguably you could say Super Mario Brothers and Barbie also fall into those categories, right? Those are much more kind of like narrative films, and they're doing their own thing. But like, I think out of all of those, this took like the most creative approach to like, this is a movie that is sponsored by Mattel, who's putting down the money for it, but they're also like kind of taking the piss out of them, right? So I thought it was really clever how they were able to do different things with, because this is not the kind of movie I thought it was going to be when I first saw it come out. So that was really impressive.
And I really like Greta Gerwig's movies in general. I think I like Little Women probably more than this. I just really like Little Women. But I do think it's deserving of this nomination. It just, it's like, it's really good. I don't have much bad to say about it. I think I just didn't vibe with it quite as much as a lot of people did.
It was fun. I liked it. I do like that all the hoopla around it got a lot of people to go see Anatomy of a Fall, though.
Wait, why is that?
Well, because people were like arguing about the whole like Margot Robbie not getting nominated, and then they were like looking at all the other nominations, and then it was just like, who's this person? And then they went and saw it, and like, oh, okay, that's pretty good.
You're talking about the snub, the directing snub.
Yeah. But
anyway.
It's like,
hey, look,
a lot of people went and saw it after the fact, and it was like, cool. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, and Margot got her producer nom.
Yeah,
she did.
Yeah. But
it was
anyway,
a fun movie, and it made $1 billion. Good for them.
Yeah, and it got Hillary Clinton to say something. So anyway, next movie we'll talk about is The Holdovers. First of all, I want to say I am not an Alexander Payne fan. I do not like most of his films, and I really don't like Paul Giamatti at all. Wow. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I know Paul Giamatti is a very likable
ever done
guy,
to
and
you?
everybody. I don't know. It's I don't have a good justification for it, but I've just never. He just doesn't sit right with me. I'm just not a Paul Giamatti fan. I just get a bad vibes from that guy personally.
I like Paul Giamatti because of that one episode of the Chris Gethard show where he was in the dumpster the whole time.
Yeah,
that episode is classic. If you haven't looked this up, watch that episode. It's on YouTube for free. It's amazing.
Well, anyway, that notwithstanding, I have to say that's my preview. But I loved The Holdovers. Okay. I was very surprised at how much I liked this movie. It really did it for me. I've seen it twice now. I watched it once by myself, and then I watched it again with my family over Christmas. And it just feels like an instant Christmas classic. You know, this is getting added to the Christmas movie rotation, I think. It was a great feel-good movie. I think if anything can unseat Oppenheimer for Best Picture, it might be Holdovers this year. I could see that being the kind of dark horse swooping in. I know we all thought, Cillian Murphy was a lock for Best Actor throughout most of the year. Now it's kind of seeming like Paul Giamatti's going to be taking Best Actor. At least that's kind of the buzz right now. What were y'all's thoughts on The Holdovers?
I didn't see it, unfortunately.
Okay.
Oh, I was like one of the only people who didn't like it as much as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was fine. I don't know. So much about it was like, this just felt like you were tricking me into watching something from the 70s, right? Especially with like the digital grain the whole way through.
I kind of like that. I like that, and I like the classic logos they had at the start and everything like that. But
yeah, and I get the appeal. It just didn't work for me for whatever reason.
Yeah. Totally fair.
Yeah, I have like nothing against it winning anything or anybody who does like it. I'm like, I don't even think you're wrong to like it. It just didn't click for whatever reason.
I feel you.
I did get my all my little movie crew. I did for Christmas. I got them a copy of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So.
Oh man, Hans, when you'll get that when you see the movie.
I'll try to see it.
All right, let's move on for the sake of time. Killers of the Flower Moon. Speaking of time, longest fucking movie ever. Not as long as The Irishman. Thank fucking God. I did not like The Irishman.
I didn't see The
sorry,
Irishman.
I am a Scorsese fan, but Killers of the Flower Moon. I quite enjoyed this. What were y'all's thoughts on this movie?
Loved it. It ruled. Have you read the book?
I have not. No.
Oh man, yeah, the book's so good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the book in anticipation of the movie. I heard the movie was coming out. My wife had read the book already. She said it was really good. The book is very good, really depressing, and the movie is also long and depressing.
Yep.
There's an interesting choice in the movie in that it focuses more on the people who did the crimes. And the book, it kind of does everything, but it focuses a little bit more on the detective character, especially in like the middle part of the book. And he almost is like sidelined to some extent in the movie. Like you don't actually dig too deep into his actual investigation, but then again, the movie is so long, and I do think that for Scorsese, that's the stuff that he likes to focus on is the scummy people doing the crimes. So it's a very, very good movie. I like it a lot. Lily Gladstone is fantastic.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend who's got like $500 on Lily Gladstone winning Best Actress.
Oh, what are the odds? Like she's like the clear favorite.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's Emma Stone's year, but we'll get to that later. But I this is another one where I think my expectations were like a little high. And I think that it's a weird movie and it makes you feel weird, like not in necessarily all the ways that I think Scorsese necessarily intended. That said, this is one that like with retrospect and the more I think about it, the more I like it. And I do want to go back and revisit this one at some point. It's just kind of like,
just
what am I
take a
going to carve
weekend.
the time out to? Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's a tough watch.
Yeah, it's a tough watch. There's a lot of rumors going around about this movie now too, about like what it originally was like. Apparently, like Lily Gladstone's character was only in like 3 scenes, like before this movie had rewrites, and like they added a lot more of her perspective into it. And then also, I'm seeing rumors going around right now that Paul Thomas Anderson essentially rewrote this entire script and like ghost wrote it like for for Martin Scorsese. I don't know how true that is, but I think a lot of the like rumbling right now is that this movie was basically ghostwritten by Paul Thomas Anderson, which is very interesting. I hope to hear more about that if that is true.
Yeah.
But I can kind of see it a little bit. But anyway, great film. I think it does get added right. It slots right into the Scorsese crime story canon. I think it fits right in there. It works better as a Scorsese crime movie than I anticipated.
And I like that the movie portrays these people as just kind of like bumbling and bad at what they do. But they're just like, I don't know. It's really good. I liked it a lot.
DiCaprio was good, but De Niro was just excellent in this film.
Yeah.
And obviously Lily Gladstone, incredible as well. Just really great performances all around.
Just all the women, the sisters, they were all great, honestly.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I loved the super drunk one.
Yes.
I forget what her name was, but she was awesome. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Maestro. Do you guys check Maestro? Who here's seen Maestro?
I watched Maestro. I watched it on our crappy little TV in my living room on a Saturday morning. It was like I did not particularly care for Maestro, and it just left no impression on me. And I feel like maybe if I saw it in the theater, I'd like it more. But it really, this is the one, like, so Amir, you were talking about American Fiction being Oscar baity. This is the one that to me feels like it's practically begging for the Oscars. And I don't know, I think it's fine. It is beautiful. I really like the cinematography and the set design and all that. But it just it left zero impression on me other than that, to be honest. I know you really liked it though, David, didn't you?
I wouldn't say I really liked it. I did like it. I'd say maybe out of all of these movies, I don't know that it might be my least favorite out of all of these. But it's between probably that and American Fiction, I'd say. I liked it. It actually wasn't as Oscar baity as I thought it would be going in, just because I heard everybody talk about how Oscar baity it was, right? And I think as far as it's a biopic, and I mean, obviously Bradley Cooper really wants an Oscar. The dude wants an Oscar so fucking bad, right? But I think it was kind of a weird movie, It had a lot of really long takes. It had a lot of wide angles. It was very stage play-ish to me. It was just kind of done in a way that I wasn't really anticipating. And I think that there were a couple scenes in this movie that really stuck with me and will stick with me for a while. I think the argument scene between Carey Mulligan, right, was the I get her and the other one who is exactly the same as her confused. There's two actresses in Hollywood that look the exact same. But they had a great argument scene around on Thanksgiving, around the Macy's Day Parade. And that, I think, was one of the best scenes I've seen all year. And I really enjoyed that. And I think everybody's making fun of that scene where he's doing the long conducting. They're saying it's really Looney Tunes. I thought that scene was incredibly moving. And
that scene was
for
cool.
me. I thought it was incredible. So, I mean, I ended up liking this movie more than I thought I would. But I mean, I'll be pretty miffed if it gets any major awards this year, personally. But this is one I wish I saw in a theater. I watched this again at my parents' house. I was kind of catching up on movies and watched it on Netflix. This is one where it was seeing it in my parents' living room on a TV that's not that big. This is one that I would have liked to have seen in a dark room with a huge screen, right? I think
Netflix also doesn't release their stuff wide ever. They'll do it for a week and that's it. So
yeah, you really have to be on top of it. I mean, we live in Austin, so we get the Netflix limited releases at Draft House, but it's if you miss it in the 1 week that it makes it Oscar eligible, you're out of luck, right?
Yeah, and I think it was Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
I could maybe drive 3 hours to Atlanta and get to see some of those movies, but that's it.
Yeah. I really hope Netflix changes their tune on that, follows Apple a little bit. Although Apple, it's not like they're making tons of money for these long theatrical releases, but they keep spending $200 million on all their movies. Yeah. So whatever. Thinking Argyle comes to mind. But anyway, let's move on to Oppenheimer here. I'm just going to say it right now. When this movie came out, it was this is probably going to be Best Picture of the year. the year is over. I've seen all these movies. I think it's still my favorite movie of the year. I know that's a little basic to be like, Oppenheimer's my favorite movie of the year, but fuck it. I just think this movie was incredible. I think it's by far Christopher Nolan's best movie. I think it kind of takes the best of all of his instincts and uses them in a proper way. Like, I think a lot of Chris Nolan movies are hit or miss for me. You know, it's like I really didn't like Dark Knight Rises. I'm not as big a fan of Interstellar as most people.
You like Tenet though, right?
No, I can't say that I did. I actually really did not like Tenet. But it's like my problem with Christopher Nolan movies is that he tries to jam so much plot into a runtime that leaves no room for character growth or me giving a shit about any of the characters. It's just like plot on really quick scenes. This movie does that. This movie is basically a 3-hour long montage, jumping back and forth in time. But so much of it really gets across the character stuff that worked so well for me in movies like The Prestige and Inception, the original Dark Knight, Memento. Like, that's the kind of stuff that Chris Nolan is really good at, right? So I thought this was just the culmination of all of his best instincts, and I loved this film.
Yeah, I loved it. It was so good. So good. I mean, God. I go ahead. I'm still thinking on it. Go. You go.
So I agree. I am not a, like, Christopher Nolan, when I was in college was like the film bros dude. Like, and that's, and kind of still is. But, and so like, and I was part of that for a while. And then I started realizing he's just, and especially I feel like recently he's gotten self-indulgent, and I'm just like, it's not cool that your actors don't understand the movie they're making. I don't think that's a good thing, Like, I feel like he is self-indulgent in that he makes his movies like for himself, but not like some people can do that and it feels authentic and you can really vibe with it, and some people do it and it just like I feel like you're just being purposely obtuse. Oppenheimer, though, I really liked. I think that it, like you were saying, I'm just going to repeat a lot of what you said. I think that it still does his like, nonlinear storytelling shtick, which is his, that's every movie of his. It still does that, but it does it in a really interesting way. I really like having, the two kind of trials, or I don't know, like having those be the backbone and then flashbacks for each of them being different. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
I just really like, this is also my pick for Best Picture among these options. It was my second favorite movie of the year. So I really do like this.
Yeah, I think the thing with Christopher Nolan is that he's not as smart as he thinks he is sometimes. He's kind of just a dummy, but like he makes good shit,
Yeah.
Like all the press right now is he's like, yeah, man, those Fast movies rule. And it's like, he's not wrong. I mean, even with his like bad movies, if you just like shut your brain off and are just like, yeah, I'm just going along for the ride. That's why I was like, I kind of fuck with Tenet, because it's like, whatever. It doesn't need to make sense. This is just, stupid bullets moving backward. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a friend who also really likes Tenet. He's like, it doesn't make sense. Every time I watch it, I feel like I'm going to figure it out a little bit more. No,
you'll never figure it out. It's not meant to be figured out.
My opinion on Tenet is I don't care if it doesn't make sense. The fact that he's trying to make it make sense the entire time is what really bugs me. It's like either don't make sense or do make sense, but don't not make sense, but then still try to explain how it makes sense.
He gets prestige clout because he's British, but he's just Michael Mann. Come on.
Yeah, he really wants to be Michael Mann so bad. Speaking of, where was the Ferrari love this Oscar?
Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know.
Fucking, it got nothing. I loved Ferrari, but anyway, I think to me, Tenet. Okay, we should keep talking about Oppenheimer.
Stop talking about Tenet.
But anyway, last thing I'll say about Tenet is, for me, it was like Christopher Nolan like figured out that he could reverse footage and thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And it was like, bro, we all were doing that in like high school. So I don't know why you think this is so groundbreaking, but anyway, but yeah, I don't know. there's not much we could say about Oppenheimer that hasn't already been said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 3-hour movie that shouldn't work and shouldn't be as engaging as it is, but it is. It doesn't feel Oscar baity, even though it is probably technically the most Oscar-ish movie on this list.
It's got the most noms. It's probably going to win most of its awards. It's like my second favorite of the year, but like nothing was like just like the clear-cut best. So it's like, yeah, I guess this is close enough. It hits all the right buttons.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm definitely rooting for this one. It's very rewatchable as well. It's like I often just like feel the urge to just throw it on, and it's like there are some movies like that even though they're like long movies, it's like I could watch this. I've watched it twice. I think I saw it twice in theaters. I could definitely watch this again soon. I've been kind of feeling the urge, but
yeah, I saw it once also.
Yeah. Great dad movie too. Great movie to bring your dad to. All right, let's move on to Past Lives. This was my blind spot until very recently. I finally watched this the other day when my brother was in town. We watched this together. Have you guys seen Past Lives?
Mm-mm.
I missed it. I was gonna go see it one day, and because I saw it was at AFS, and then I got busy with something else, and just it was gone by the time I thought about it.
Totally. Yeah. It's out on VOD now. So it's definitely, or it might even be on streaming on Hulu or something. I don't know. But it's worth watching. It's great. It's an awesome movie. I really enjoyed it. It's another, like I was talking about with Anatomy of a Fall, it's a simple film, right? I think it really takes place over the course of it takes place over long periods of time, but each time it's like a day within that time, right? And it's kind of, the plot is childhood crush, sweetheart from Korea, kind of comes back into this woman's life after she's been living in the United States for most of her life and is kind of anglified herself. It's a lot about like kind of the immigrant experience, a lot of Korean immigrants, Asian immigrants in general kind of have to take on anglified names and kind of reset their brain to be out of like Korean heritage mode, right? And so it's like you start dating a Westerner and like somebody from the US, and then this person comes back into your life that brings a lot of that baggage from your childhood, and maybe not baggage isn't the right word, but just brings a lot of that culture and the stuff that you left behind after emigrating from a country like Korea or something like that. So, obviously I'm not an immigrant. I don't have those experiences, but I thought this movie actually did a really good job of portraying that in really subtle ways, while also just being a really good love story and a kind of a romantic love triangle sort of thing. So this is a great movie, definitely worth checking out. Definitely worth being on this list. Surprised it didn't get more Oscar love other than Best Picture. I think maybe it was nominated for something else. Everybody was thinking that what's her name was going to get Best Actress nom, but she didn't end up getting it. Greta Lee, but she was fantastic in this.
I think he got Best Director. Wasn't that one the other one?
Maybe. Yeah. I gotta look at the list. But okay, let's move into the last two before we talk about individual categories. Poor Things. We all fuck with Poor Things.
Speaking of wide angle lenses.
Yeah.
I love me some Yorgos. This was my favorite of the year. I don't think it's gonna win many, but I loved it.
I could definitely. I don't know, man. I kind of see Emma taking it away for actress. I thought she was just spectacular in this movie. I could also see Mark Ruffalo win
for supporting.
As well. Yeah. I thought Ruffalo's character was so fucking funny in this.
Yeah, he was really funny.
Despicable piece of shit, but man, did he play that well and so against type for Ruffalo, right?
Yeah.
But The Favorite is probably my favorite Yorgos. Actually, I think Dogtooth is still my favorite Yorgos movie, but like The Favorite, I think is his most palatable movie, and I think it's the one that like feels the best to watch. You know what I mean? It's the most watchable Yorgos movie, The Favorite.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think Killing of a Sacred Deer is probably my favorite, but that's tough to watch.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
So I watched The Favorite in the theater when it came out. I did see Poor Things in the theater. I think two separate occasions, I started to watch The Lobster and I started to watch Killing of a Sacred Deer and didn't finish it either time because I was just not in the mood for it. And I know they're good movies, and I need to go back and watch them. And I've heard Dogtooth is also good, but I'm just not always in the mood to watch that kind of a movie. But yeah, I liked Poor Things a lot.
Yorgos movies fall into two categories. It's the favorite and poor things categories, and then like Lobster, Dogtooth, Killing of a Sacred Deer categories.
Yeah.
Like his next movie that's coming out, he wrote with the guy who wrote The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer. And this movie, he wrote with the screenwriter who wrote The Favorite, right?
Uh-huh.
So he's kind of got these like two vibes, you know, one where everybody talks like weird robots and the other one where they talk like real people.
Yeah.
And this falls into the real people category. And so I thought, you know, this is a great, you know, I mean, obviously I don't think this movie is going to be for everybody. Like even his more palatable movies are still fucking weird. You know, this is still a very weird movie in a lot of ways. But this felt kind of like a crowd pleaser. This actually to me felt more like it was just like doing Barbie better than Barbie almost in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like I thought this movie did the whole fish out of water, you know, somebody kind of like discovering about the world around them thing in a really great way. And I just liked how it was very like pro sex work. I liked that there was just like a shit ton of sex in this movie. And it was like, some of it was titillating, some of it was disturbing, but it was all like done in a way that really pushed the narrative forward in a way that never felt like gratuitous or anything to me.
But she also, she existed in a way and like without the moral like hangups that other people did in the world. Like the nun or the caretaker that was with her when she was growing up or quote unquote growing up.
Right.
And it was just cool to see her just explore this. I think the best summary of this was like, it's like watching her like speed run college.
Starting at age like 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about Poor Things before we move on?
Just a shout out to Willem Dafoe. I thought he was really good, and also Rami Youssef I thought was really good too.
Shout out to Gerard Carmichael. He was really fun in this. He had really good bits. I was glad to see him around, you know?
Yeah, I liked that. I kind of like movies like that where it's a main character that just kind of runs into a bunch of different characters for little bit scenes, and they just get these little scenes in the movie, and that's the only time we see them, right? Like Gerard Carmichael. Yeah. Just it's like people you bump into along the way that kind of shape your worldview, right? Like Gerard Carmichael's character, like being the cynic, was very important in teaching Bella about the world, and it was like what unlocked her like empathy for people, you know, and like and so yeah, I thought I really liked that aspect of it. I think that movies like Inherent Vice are like that as well, where it's just kind of like a main character like bumping into randos along the way and having them kind of like affect them. So that was great. Great movie. This is also one of my favorites of the year. I'd say it's probably my top 5, but there's a lot of animated movies in my top 10 that are not in the best picture category here. Okay, lastly, let's talk about Zone of Interest, directed by Jonathan Glazer, not John Glazer, who is the creator of Delocated. This is Jonathan Glazer, the director of Under the Skin and Sexy Beast.
And the Jamiroquai video.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Did you guys see Zone of Interest?
No.
I saw it a couple weeks ago.
Okay, yeah. What were your thoughts, Amir?
Man, it was rough. But I didn't like it as much as most people, and like, but I liked a lot about it. You know, like the things it does well, it does incredibly. You know, the sound design alone is just the constant like background noise and just of hearing everything just next door. Right. I don't want to give too much away. I don't know. Spoiler alert for the 40s, I guess, but
I know what it's about.
Yeah. And like just how matter of fact everybody like spoke about. I was like, yeah, this is just what happens. And like there's only like one person who was like witnessing it and was like, oh, this is bad. We're bad. We shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
God.
I really do want to see this one. This is playing in my area. But it's like I get off work, I'm like, oh, I should see a movie. What movie do I want to see? And then I'm like, not today. Like, I really do want to see it, but it's another one of those that I feel like I've got to be in the right mood for, or maybe I just need to suck it up and see it and not be in the right mood for it, and then let it depress me.
I would honestly just go, because it's like whatever mood you're in, the first like 5 minutes of the movie. I'm not gonna say this as a spoiler. The first 5 minutes of the movie starts over black. And is just Mika Levy's insane soundscape score.
Yeah.
Like it's basically starts with like an overture, right? Of just over black. And it's like whatever mood you're in, bam, this movie's gonna reset you, right? So just go see it.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's a must watch. I mean, I think it's incredible. It's definitely not like, it's not like a breezy put this on while you've got some friends over at a party sort of thing. But it's like, for what it's trying to do, it is just incredible. And it's obviously, as we're finding ourselves today in basically the middle of another genocide right now, where we've got, politicians and people just turning a blind eye, and it's unfortunately super, super relevant to today, right? The message of this movie. Yeah.
I did have one friend who basically didn't want to watch it because they were like worried it was going to sympathize you with the Nazis too much. And don't worry.
No.
You don't.
That's not my concern at all.
It's clear who the bad guys are.
Yeah. Do you think this movie will win Best Sound? It sounds like just from what I've heard about it, it sounds like the sound is like the.
It's like the
driving.
Star of the movie.
It's like the whole thing in the movie. I haven't seen it, but I feel like that's probably what it's going to win. It's
shot really well too.
Yeah, I think it's a lock for sound, and yeah, like you were just saying, Amir, it's shot really uniquely. Like they filmed all on location in this house where it takes place, and then I think they would like set up like 7 or 8 cameras around with no camera operator, and then everyone would be in different rooms, so they would just play through the scenes like it was a play, and they would just and it was all shot real time.
That's
with
really
all
cool.
these cameras around the house. So it's like, it really captures the vibe in a way that is like really unique.
And the cutting to like the black and white. Now it wasn't quite black and white, but you know what I'm talking about. Like that weird filter that they use on for certain parts. Oh man, that just looks so cool. I was into it.
Anyway, so those are our Best Picture noms. If we had to pick one, that we want to win and one we think is going to win, what would be our picks? I think for me, I think what I want to win and what I think is going to win is Oppenheimer. What about y'all?
I want Oppenheimer to win. I don't know. I think Killers of the Flower Moon can take it. Maybe I'm crazy.
Wow.
I just that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I don't know. I'm not good at predicting these things, so I wouldn't put money on it.
I want Poor Things to win, but like I said, I don't think it's going to win many. I think Oppenheimer is going to clean up.
Yeah, I think they're going to do. I don't think they're going to sweep this year, but I think they're going to take home 5 or 6 trophies.
I do think the thing I would be worried about is if Nolan wins director, I think you have a case for something else winning picture. But I don't think he wins both. But I might be wrong. I don't know.
Well, let's get to some of these individual categories real quick. We're going to go way faster on these than we did on Best Picture, but let's go ahead and we're going to go just kind of in alphabetical order here. Actor in a leading role. We've got nominees Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, which I don't know anybody who saw that fucking movie.
I had one coworker who was excited for this movie.
Yeah.
Because he was a gay black man, which like is like that's the target audience, but like literally Netflix never promoted this. I don't think,
was it a Netflix movie?
Yeah. It's Netflix original. They never promoted it.
I never even heard of it.
Yep.
But anyway, The Holdovers, Paul Giamatti, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. I think all really strong performances, other than, Coleman Domingo. I didn't watch that movie, unfortunately. I like I said before, I kind of think this is Paul Giamatti's upset. I think he's going to take it. What do you guys think? Do you think Bradley Cooper has a chance?
I don't know. I hope Cillian gets it, but again, I haven't seen The Holdovers, so maybe there's a better argument for Paul Giamatti. I like Cillian Murphy a lot though in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I'd be happy with either of them taking it.
I feel like Giamatti probably does more than Murphy does, like range wise. Like he probably has like a. Well, I think Murphy has a more nuanced range and he's just so much. Giamatti's so much more like big in this. So I think it's going to be Murphy, but again, I don't think Giamatti winning would be a huge upset.
I mean, Murphy played a college student. That's some range.
All right, let's move on to actor in a supporting role. We had Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Robert De Niro in Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. This is another pretty stacked group. Yeah. I personally would have swapped Sterling K. Brown for what's his name in May
December.
December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Melton, Charles Melton.
Yeah, Charles Melton. I thought he was just
agree.
incredible in that movie. So I was really sad to see that. And not that I don't like Sterling K. Brown. I thought he was really good as well.
Yeah.
Actually, I probably would have swapped out Gosling, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Gosling was good too. But I think, I feel like this is Robert Downey Jr.'s award to lose. I think De Niro did a really good job. I don't think he's going to win it, though. What do you guys think? You think this is Downey's year?
I think so.
Probably.
And I think he was really I really like that he was kind of playing against type, and he played it really well. So
Yeah.
I would be okay with him winning. I don't know who I think is going to win, but I would be okay if it was RDJ.
In a movie where like everybody just has a few scenes, it just shows up who's ever been anyone. Stealing the show, just like for his brief scenes, just like, all right.
Says a lot. All right, actress in a leading role. We have Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone, Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan, Maestro, Emma Stone, Poor Things. This is a good group, except for fucking Naiad. I don't know why Naiad keeps getting nominations. Netflix really fucking pushed really hard for Naiad this year with the For Your Consideration. But obviously, everybody thinks Lily Gladstone is the favorite to win this.
Yeah.
If I'd be putting money on it, I'd go dark horse Emma Stone. I really think this is Emma Stone's year. But also, I was a huge fan of The Curse, which I thought that was her best performance ever. I loved her in that show. What are you guys? You guys going Gladstone on this one as well?
I think so, but I really liked Emma Stone, and from what I hear, Sandra Hüller was really, really good too. So, I wouldn't be mad about any of those.
I mean, she was good in this and in Zone of Interest. Who she does play the wife in that one. So,
right.
I think it's Gladstone. Everything seems to be leaning Gladstone, but again, Emma Stone was my favorite performance of the year. Just that movie ruled, and I just can't see anyone beating her. Unless I don't know. No, I don't see it happening.
And shout out to Carey Mulligan, just spectacular in Maestro. I thought she was really, really fantastic. It was just, I think the other performances were just a little bit better.
Did anyone see Naiad? I don't know anyone who's
no one on earth has seen Naiad.
Yeah.
No one even knows what it's about.
A podcast I listened to reviewed it, and that's all I know about it.
Yeah. The poster keeps putting me off. I just don't like how the poster looks. I think I just don't like Annette Bening's face on it. I don't like Jodie Foster's face on it.
David
and it's just their two faces. So
David likes judging a book by its cover. You heard it here first.
I sure do. All right, let's move on. Actress in a supporting role. We've got Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks in The Color Purple, America Ferrera, Barbie. Interesting choice, but one I think I get behind. Jodie Foster, Naiad, and Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. My pick would be Davine for this. I thought she was incredible in The Holdovers.
I honestly thought she was the weakest part of The Holdovers, though.
Really?
I didn't like her performance in this, and so that's
you didn't like her little accent.
Yeah, I don't know what she was so melodramatic, and it seemed like her scenes were just in another movie the whole time. I don't know.
Wow.
But again, I'm the one person who didn't like The Holdovers, so I don't know if I'm really the judge. I didn't see Color Purple though. I didn't
either, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've seen the original, if it counts.
It doesn't.
I don't think it does.
Yeah. What would you go with Emily Blunt then?
I guess, but I don't feel strongly about it.
Yeah, I think I'm the same.
I don't think she wins it, but that's the only one I could really because I think she was better than America Ferrera, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have much of an opinion either. I guess I would choose Emily Blunt, but I don't have a strong opinion.
Okay. Well, we'll go. I don't know. We'll say 2 out of 3. The official Film Headz pick here is Emily Blunt. I'm still holding out for Davine Joy Randolph. I thought she was fantastic in the movie, and I'd like to see her in more things. She picked up smoking for this movie. So
good for her. It's a fun habit.
Animated feature film. This is a really interesting category. I think pretty much all of these are awesome movies.
Elemental.
No, I mean, actually, I didn't see Elemental. I didn't see Elemental or Robot Dreams. But like, I'm happy about Boy and the Heron, Nimona, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Those 3 movies are in my top 10 movies of the year. I thought all of those movies were incredible. Nimona, in particular, is probably in my top 5 of the year. I loved that movie so much, and I thought that it had no chance of being nominated for Best Animated Film. but it did, and I'm very happy about that. I don't know if I said all of them. Boy in the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man. What are you guys' thoughts on these, and what do you think is going to take it?
The only two I saw were Boy and the Heron and Elemental, and Boy and the Heron was in my top 10, I think my top 5 even, and Elemental was one of my worst of the year. So I guess I got to go with the Boy. I don't know if Miyazaki's won before. If he hasn't, he hasn't. Oh
wait, no, he did for Spirited Away.
Won, he won for Spirited Away.
If he hadn't won one before, I think Boy and the Heron would be a lock. If he has one already, you could see it maybe going, man, I don't know if they'd go Spider-Verse again though.
Yeah, because the first one did win.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And here's my, so I also didn't see most of these. I need to see Nimona. I keep hearing great things about it. It's just something
excellent.
I'm weird. I like to go see movies in the theater, but when it's just out on streaming, I a lot of times don't feel like just sitting on my couch and watching a new movie, which is stupid. But so I really like The Boy and the Heron. It was my favorite movie of the year. I really loved it. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, I also really, really liked. I don't think it'll win because the first one was nominated and also it's a part 1. Like, I don't think that they will let it win again yet. Like, I think maybe the third one has a higher chance, in my opinion. But I would pick The Boy and the Heron. But again, I haven't seen Nimona, haven't seen Elemental or Robot Dreams. So
you could skip Elemental. It's really, really bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I heard it was better than people expected, but yeah, I unfortunately I haven't been too motivated to see a lot of the recent Pixar releases. I love Turning Red. I think that was kind of the last Pixar movie that I really loved. But Boy and the Heron I thought is incredible, and I honestly think that that's going to take it. If I had my druthers, it would be Nimona because I just love that movie so much. But Boy and the Heron was also incredible. It's also probably in my top 5. I think the more I think about that movie, the more I like it, and the more you look at it from the perspective of this is a movie about Miyazaki at the end of his career and like what that means to pass the torch on. It just makes it such an impactful film, and I thought it did a really good job, and so I'm really happy for that, and I can't see anything taking it. Quickly, we got to talk about snubs here. I think Suzume was snubbed for Best Animated Picture. I would have probably taken out Elemental for that, and then also there was no TMNT love.
Oh man, I really like
that was a really
TMNT.
great movie. Yeah, I haven't seen Robot Dreams yet. I do have it downloaded. I just haven't had time to watch it yet, but I do want to check that out before this. But I think Boy and the Heron's going to take it. Cinematography. We've got nominees Edward Lachman for El Conde, which is a movie everybody forgot about, but was a very well shot movie. Rodrigo Prieto for Killers of the Flower Moon. Matthew Libatique for Maestro. Hoyt van Hoytema for Oppenheimer, and Robbie Ryan for Poor Things. This is I think this is kind of anybody's game, to be honest.
I haven't seen El Condo, but I read what it was about, and I'm like, oh shit, this seems like it rules. But again, it's a Netflix one, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, God.
I also didn't see El Conde.
I think Hoyt van Hoytema obviously has the momentum behind him here. I think Maestro could take it. I thought Maestro was shot just gorgeously. I thought the cinematography was incredible in that. Killers of the Flower Moon, also really good looking movie. What would your
I would choose Poor Things because I just think it's so weird and cool. Like you don't typically get movies that use like fisheye lenses like that, but it worked really well in this one.
If it was the award for widest lens, then it would win. Yeah.
Between this one and Maestro, I guess.
I haven't seen Maestro, but I'm gonna say that's my pick only because I don't think anything like stood out in the way that where it's like, oh, this is the obvious pick. When you have it like that, I think it could be anybody's game, and I think Maestro, just from what I have seen of it, it does look like a certain way that,
I think there were some pretty big snubs here as well, to be honest. I think that for how much this movie has issues, I thought Saltburn was one of the best shot movies of the year. Was very surprised to see that not in this list. I think also I probably would have put The Creator in this as well. I thought the creator had some incredible cinematography, especially given the kinds of cameras they were shooting with, what they did on a really low budget with that, and then how the cinematography blended itself with all the visual effects. I thought that was some really incredible stuff. There were some other really beautifully shot movies this year that were also snubbed, but if I had to give it to anyone, I'd probably actually give it to Maestro, but I think if Oppenheimer wins this, which I think it probably will, I will not be upset.
Where was Skinamarink?
yeah. Genre movies have an uphill battle at the Oscars, man.
Yeah,
all right, moving on. Costume design. We've got Jacqueline Duran for Barbie, Jacqueline West for Killers of the Flower Moon, Janty Yates and Dave Crossman for Napoleon, Ellen Mironjnik for Oppenheimer, and Holly Waddington, Poor Things. What are we giving costume design to, gang?
I think Barbie because and maybe this is just, but there was so much hype around Barbie because they meticulously made costumes based off of specific Barbies. That just seems to me is a good not in its favor, but I wouldn't mind most of these.
Amir?
Well, so this is one of those historic ones. You always go with the period piece for costume.
Napoleon,
so
then?
I'm going to go with Napoleon, but I don't think it would be insane if Barbie won, because Barbie does feel like it's going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, what's production design? See,
design, I think that's Barbie's to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I figured it was probably going to go production design and costume. We're going to flip flop on Barbie and Napoleon. So I think those two are going to share those two.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go production design Barbie and then costumes Napoleon.
I feel like Poor Things is going to swoop in and upset everybody.
That is another, because that's also kind of a period piece. So it's I could see that one taking it, but I want to give Napoleon some love because I really like Napoleon.
I would like Napoleon to win at least one thing. All right, let's move on to directing. We've got Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan, Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos, Poor Things, Jonathan Glazer, Zone of Interest. I think this is a great category. I think everyone here did an incredible job, and it's really close. But I mean, I think this is Chris Nolan's year. Yeah. He's never won a directing Oscar, and he just did an incredible job with the movie. I would be very surprised if anyone else takes it. I think if anyone else takes it, it might be Marty. I don't think Yorgos is going to take it. But yeah, I think this is Christopher Nolan's to lose.
He's going on such a press tour right now. I think it's his. He's got this.
Yeah.
It's in the bag.
Voting is currently happening too, so they are definitely pushing for him.
They just watched him get chased around by Fallon or whoever it was.
It's Colbert. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What's that?
Did either of you see any of the documentaries?
No, we could move on to that. We're just assuming Christopher Nolan's going to take it. Good job to everybody else directing. Yeah. Documentary feature film was, I'm just going to say the titles here: Bobby Wine, The People's President, The Eternal Memory, Four Daughters, To Kill a Tiger, and 20 Days in Mariupol. I didn't watch any of these. Did you guys?
No, but I'm going to pick 20 Days in Mariupol to win it.
I agree. Yeah. Actually, I do agree.
Because it's about the war in Ukraine. And
is it? I don't even know what it's about. I'm just going.
It's about the war in Ukraine, and Hollywood's pretty Ukraine pilled. Yeah. So
is this the one that Sean Penn was working on right when it started?
It might have been.
Oh, because I know he was working on something when he was over there.
I don't know. Well, I'll have to look that up later. But let's go ahead and move on. Sorry to documentaries, documentary short films. I think we also don't have many opinions on this. We've got the ABCs of book banning, Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nai Nai and WIPO. I haven't seen any of these, but the ABCs of book banning sounds like something that could win. Let's move on to film editing. I think this is actually a pretty close race. I think we've got Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. You got Thelma Schoonmaker, lifelong collaborator with Marty Scorsese on Killers of the Flower Moon. That movie was paced better than it had any right to be, being a 3.5-hour movie. I thought it had incredible editing. And same goes with Anatomy of a Fall. Laurent Senichal is maybe how you pronounce that. What would your guys' pick be for film editing?
Oh, this is tough. This and directing are so stacked.
Yeah.
It's hard to pick. I'm gonna go Anatomy of a Fall. but
Mhm.
I could see anything winning this.
Mhm.
I think I disagree with you about Killers of the Flower Moon. I feel like that movie still could have been shaved off some. So I think Oppenheimer does kind of what you're saying about that one. Like Oppenheimer didn't feel like 3 hours to me. Killers of the Flower Moon did feel like 3.5 hours to me. So I would go with Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer was really well edited. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Like Killers of the Flower Moon was very good. I don't think editing was its strong suit necessarily.
With stacked categories like this, it's almost always just like the prudent choice. Just go with Oppenheimer. It's probably the best chance.
Yeah, and it's deserving too. It's not like oh, it's got the momentum, so it's going to win. Like I think any of these winning, I would be happy with. I thought all these movies were fantastically
any of these are
edited.
bad at it anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And also I think another thing in Oppenheimer's favor is a lot of that movie is in the edit because it is so, the different timelines and all that. Like it's the two sections and then one of them is in black and white and one of them is in color and all that stuff. I think that really works well together where with a different editor, it might not work as well. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
Cool. I'm gonna go with Thelma on this one. I just think that I think it's Shoemaker's to lose, but I think that I think she's probably got momentum behind her on this. But I think I would be happy with any of these. Moving on to international feature film, we've got Io Capitano from Italy, Perfect Days from Japan, Society of the Snow from Spain, The Teacher's Lounge from Germany, and The Zone of Interest from the United Kingdom. I think this one's gotta go to the Zone of Interest. I think that if the rules for how this category worked were different, I think this would be a way closer race between Anatomy of a Fall, Zone of Interest, and Society of the Snow, and maybe even fucking Godzilla -1.
Yeah, I don't know why that's not on here. That's
insane. Yeah. That was in my top 5 as well. The past year, but I think Zone of Interest is going to take this one, and I think it's deserved. I'm kind of pulling for Society of the Snow on this because I loved that movie, and I think that movie it was criminally overlooked. And if you haven't seen Society of the Snow, I really recommend it. That movie will stick with you, man. I love that movie so much. Any other thoughts on international feature film?
I didn't see enough of these, honestly. My documentary and foreign were my real big misses this year.
I do really want to see Perfect Days, but I haven't been able to yet.
Yeah, I think that's coming out here wide pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. So that's nice. Makeup and hairstyling. We've got Golda. I'm not going to say all these people because we've got a lot of people in the makeup and hairstyling. Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow. I'm going to go with Society of the Snow on this one.
Oh, really?
I thought, I think that they did incredible work on that movie, making it all feel super real. Part of that was J.A. Bayona just starved the actors and didn't let them eat. So they had to actually lose a bunch of weight. But like the way that they made those prosthetics and the visual language of their bodies deteriorating over the course of this film was so impactful for me. So I would have to give it to Society of the Snow. Do you guys have any other thoughts on makeup and hairstyling?
I have not seen Society of the Snow yet. I do really need to. I was thinking Poor Things because of Willem Dafoe's messed up face, but
but what you're describing, David, makes me think that it's probably Society of the Snow.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think so. I would be pretty upset if Maestro won, to be honest. I didn't want to be put off by the schnoz, but I was a little put off by the schnoz in Maestro. I'm just going to say it. I found it distracting. All right, music, original score. This is a pretty stacked cast that I think also has some snubs here. You've got American Fiction, Laura Cartman, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, John Williams, Killers of the Flower Moon, Robbie Robertson, Oppenheimer, Ludwig Göransson, and Poor Things, Jerskin Fendrix. I think these are all fine. I think
swap out American Fiction for Boy and the Heron, please.
I do not know why Joe Hisaishi
Should we take Indiana Jones out too? Like, you're just reusing the same theme, basically. Like,
I mean, I didn't even see Indiana Jones. So I can't really speak to its score, but I thought
not good.
The Boy and the Heron being out of this category is pretty offensive to me. I thought that was by far one of the best scores of the year.
Yeah.
That said, this has got to go to Ludwig Göransson. I thought Oppenheimer's score was just incredible.
Yeah, and I think that would still be my pick. That score is great.
Yeah.
Like I had coworkers basically who were resisting watching it because of its length, and then as soon as they saw it, they're like, "Bad score!" Like that was the first thing they noticed. Like,
It's incredible. It's very re-listenable too. It's like you can put it on and there's a lot of really great stuff in there just to have on in the background. I listen to that score all the time. I actually did listen to the Poor Thing score just by itself recently. And I think that I love that score so much. And I actually am becoming a big fan of Jerskin Fendrix or Yerskin probably is how you pronounce it. Of just his solo music. He does really weirdo kind of pop electronic stuff.
Hell yeah. I'll check it out.
But he's great. But that soundtrack is amazing. It's just like kind of like it works great in the context of the movie, not so much by itself outside of the film. Although there are a couple tracks that keep getting stuck in my head from it. But
it's weird because that's how I typically feel about scores for Nolan movies, where they're not as good apart from the movie. But I think Ludwig Göransson did a really, really good job on this one. So
yeah, absolutely. I think we got a couple other snubs in there as well. I would say also Across the Spider-Verse. I think probably should have gotten in there. I was surprised that was not in there. But original song, we've got a couple from Barbie here. We've got the Fire Inside from Flamin' Hot. I'm Just Ken. From Barbie, It Never Went Away from American Symphony, Wazazazi, a song for my people from Killers of the Flower Moon. Apologies for the pronunciation there. And What Was I Made For from Barbie, the Billie Eilish tune. I think that's going to take it. I think that's actually a pretty awesome song.
It's been taking a lot of the precursors too. I think it's either that or like the Ken one, right? It's one of those two. I can't imagine one of those losing.
Yeah, we got another nom for Diane Warren. Every fucking year, Diane Warren gets an Oscar nom for Best Original Song. But I this would be the Billie Eilish track for me. I would take it this year. I kind of hope I'm Just Ken doesn't take it because if it wins, it'll be like, why did that get the nomination and not Peaches from Super Mario Brothers?
Also a good jam,
Yeah, and also I just think I really think Ryan Gosling does not want to perform the song at the Oscars, so we'll just see what happens. But
I think the Wazahazi or whatever for Kills the Flower Moon would rule, but I feel like Barbie's taking this. One of the Barbies.
Let's go ahead and move on to production design. We kind of already talked about this. Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. All of these are really good nominations here. I think Barbie has got to take this one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what they did in that movie was really, I've never seen anything like it before, right?
No, yeah.
These are the exact same nominees as costume design. That's really weird.
That's interesting.
It's the exact same list of nominees.
It makes sense. It's all the mise en scène departments, right? Yeah. But I mean, let's not throw shade on Napoleon. I thought that movie had incredible production design.
Yeah.
And Poor Things, obviously, so much of that being shot on real sets. And those were all constructed. Like, I think Poor Things also winning this, I'd be totally happy with. But I think that this might be the only Oscar that Barbie wins, I think, other than music. Yeah. I mean, a song. Yeah. Animated short film. I don't know if we saw any of these. Letters to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over, inspired by the music of John and Yoko. You guys see any of these?
No.
I'm going to go with the Beatles on this one, though.
I think that's a strong bet. The Beatles won music video of the year at the Grammys.
I'm just going to say Our Uniform is going to upset.
Hell yeah, let's go. Well, it is Yegain Mogdam's Night, creator of Our Uniform. Live action short film. I don't think I've also seen any of these, unfortunately.
The Wes Anderson one?
To catch these. No, I didn't see that one yet.
I didn't either.
But I'm hoping to catch these before the Oscars comes out. They usually do screenings of these at the Alamo. We've got The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. That was one of a couple Wes Anderson shorts.
Yeah, he did like a whole series on Roald Dahl. I didn't see any of them. I need to, but he did like all of those Roald Dahl shorts, and I feel like he's gonna win it because the Oscars like Wes Anderson. Maybe
he didn't get production done.
Yeah, he definitely should have gotten nominated for production design.
Oh yeah, on Asteroid City. Yeah.
I don't know what he would have taken over. Probably Killers of the Flower Moon, to be honest. Let's go ahead and move on to sound then. I've got some thoughts on this. We've got The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. Like we said before, this definitely feels like the Zone of Interest award here because of how important sound is to that story.
Mm-hmm.
That said, though, kind of wish the creator would win this, just so the creator can win a technical award, because I thought that movie was technically one of the best movies of the year, even though I didn't much care for that movie in a lot of ways. But I mean, all of these are great.
Honestly, I would pick the creator for the next category, probably. But I haven't seen The Zone of Interest, and but just from everything I've heard, that's the one that I feel like will win and probably should.
Well, let's move on to that next category then, visual effects. We've got The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Napoleon. Interestingly, Oppenheimer not nominated for visual effects.
The nuclear bomb was practical effects.
Yeah, but I mean, those are still visual effects.
I know. Like that's how impressive it is. Like,
exactly. And I think all of can you hear the music section and all the stuff that they did in there? That was all practical. I was very surprised to see this being a very CG heavy category. I mean, I think that there's a lot of, CG visual effects artists that are in the voting block for this category. So I guess that makes sense. But I would love to see the creator take this away, but I do not want to lose an award for Godzilla -1. I think Godzilla -1 has got to take this, right?
The thing with Godzilla -1 is whenever it focuses on the visuals, it looks incredible, but there's like a few like water shots where I'm like, ugh. But outside, like Godzilla looks great. The destruction looks great. It's just every now and again stuff caught me off guard. So I'm going creator just because I liked Creator. I liked what it was, like what it represented. It's just some random sci-fi movie, not really based on anything. And but I wouldn't be mad if Godzilla won. That shit ruled.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's gotta be Godzilla.
I love Godzilla -1. I think we all agree is a better movie than The Creator. And I would love for it to win just because I want it to win an Oscar. But I think just in a vacuum, the visual effects on The Creator are better than Godzilla -1. So I think that's why I would pick The Creator. It's just sad because I really like Godzilla -1. I feel like it should have been nominated for
I wish they could both
or something,
win.
Yeah. If they promised me that Godzilla would accept the award himself, I'd be all on the Godzilla train.
Yeah. I loved the clunky robots in The Creator. Like, they had really cool clunky robots.
And let's not also completely throw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 under the bus. An incredible looking film with Marvel's best visual effects, I think, ever. I think like they did really, really good work on that movie. That one long fight scene that they had in that corridor where like half of the characters are CG characters and there's all these effects going on and it's like a long one-shot take. It's like, how the fuck do you even do that? So that movie was also incredibly impressive from a visual effects perspective. And you've got so many CG characters really pulling emotion out of you. So they did really good work in that film as well. Let's move on to our final two categories before we call this inaugural episode of Super Film Headz. We've got our writing awards. First is adapted screenplay. The nominees here were Cord Jefferson for American Fiction, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach for Barbie, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Tony McNamara for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. What would be y'all's pick for this one?
I have no clue.
I think I would probably, I know this is basic. I think I'd probably just still do Oppenheimer. But Poor Things is also, I think, in contention for that one too. I do like that one too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Oppenheimer. This could also be a one where American Fiction takes it. But again, haven't seen it. I'm just going off of vibe.
I know I said earlier that production design was going to be the only award for Barbie, but I think Barbie's actually going to take it.
It might. I wouldn't even be shocked, honestly.
I wouldn't be shocked and I wouldn't be mad. Thought that I think that it's pretty deserving and just purely because of how it usurped my expectations. And it's just so funny. While also like having a good message, I would be totally happy with Barbie. I think that's going to be my pick for both what I want and what I think will win.
The fact that it condensed like real complex like gender and like sexuality, like concepts, like heady topics into such a palatable way. It is a good, well written in that sense for sure.
I agree. And I'd like to see Greta win an award, even though I'm not mad that she wasn't nominated for Best Director. let's go with original screenplay then. For our last category, we've got Justin Triet and Arthur Harari for Anatomy of a Fall, David Hemmingson for The Holdovers, Bradley Cooper and Josh Singer for Maestro, Sammy Birch for May December, with a story by Sammy Birch and Alex Mechanic, and Celine Song for Past Lives. There's our other Past Lives nomination. I have talked at length on the Discord, at least, about how much I loved May December. This May December far and away gets my original screenplay Oscar. I think that it took a really uncomfortable and distressing topic and put like an almost like weird like genre spin on it in a way that like made it super palatable and made me look inside on like the kind of scandal that makes me excited to see, in like Hollywood. And then it's also a great mirror on Hollywood in general, I thought. I think May December gets it for me. What are y'all's picks? I
agree. I think May December should win this. I love how May December is one I think that I liked a lot when I first saw it, and it has grown on me since I've thought about it. I like you were saying, it's like really dark, but it's also funny in a weird way. Like it's like I shouldn't think this is funny, but it kind of is, and it just like it was really good. It's like it didn't make you feel good at the end of it. You're just like, ugh, like I need to take a shower kind of a thing. But I really liked May December.
Yeah, you feel skeezy the whole time watching it.
Yeah,
and it's just like. At no point, really, do you ever sympathize with her. I mean, at least I didn't. I was just like, oh, God, why is everyone just, like, okay with
I didn't sympathize with either of the female leads.
Yeah,
exactly. I sympathize with those Charles Melton. So
I think Anatomy of a Fall takes it, but May December has a pretty strong case, I think.
I would not be mad with Anatomy of a Fall taking it. Yeah.
It's just such a tightly written,
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I would say I don't think that May December will win is because it was literally not nominated for a single other thing. It's just weird. I don't know. That's just weird to me. I feel like the performances, all of the performances were really good in May December. But it was only nominated for the one award. But
was it better than Naiad?
Oh,
who's to say? No one saw it.
That is true, man. Like, why did those fucking performances get in over whatever. But also, while we're on the May December love train, let's give a fucking shout out to Todd Haynes, one of my favorite directors. I do think that he was snubbed for a best director nom, even though everybody else
that was such deserving. A stacked category that it's like fitting anybody in is just kind of hard.
It was hard.
Speaking of the actors again, just like the way that you can gradually see Natalie Portman turn into the other character, it's wild. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it was really, really good. But anyway, so that does it for our kind of like thoughts and predictions on the 2024 Oscars coming up. Very excited to watch this show. Maybe we can all watch it together somehow. I don't know. Maybe we can stream it together, or we'll have some kind of watching thing, or I don't know.
I like to go to borrow someone's password for something. I don't know.
I won't be able to going to sports bars for Oscar viewing. There's a sports bar like near me that does Oscar viewing parties, and I think it's really funny because everybody's just like wasted and like throwing bets around, which I think is hilarious. But maybe real quick before we close, this did end up going longer than I was anticipating, and I forgot to record video, so this is an audio only podcast. Apologies to everyone on that. I hope you enjoy our voices. But maybe let's just say the last movie we all saw in a theater and what we thought. I know you just came from a movie, Amir. What did you see today?
I saw Lisa Frankenstein this morning, and I kind of liked it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's goofy enough that like, it gets away with all like the silly things it does just because of how it is. And like, I don't know, there's a lot of unresolved stuff, but it kind of just doesn't matter because you're like, fuck it. Yep. It's a Frankenstein movie. It's fun. Yeah. Good job, Zelda Williams.
Yeah. Robin Williams' daughter.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Hans?
I rewatched Dune last night. That wasn't in a theater though, but I just want to shout out Dune because I still love Dune. But I also saw Lisa Frankenstein last weekend. I had middling to negative opinions on it. I wanted to like it. The trailer seemed fun to me. Like, it just seems like a fun kind of Tim Burton-y, like 80s, 90s Tim Burton-y feel to it. And I feel like the screenplay was good, but the direction was weaker. Like it didn't have the energy I felt like it needed. A lot of the times where you should have gotten a laugh, it was just like kind of silence. And so it didn't do that much for me. I didn't care for it as much. I just think that maybe if it was edited a little bit punchier or directed just a little bit more like funny, I don't know.
It was her first time. I'll give her.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
I got those vibes from the trailer.
Yeah. That's I get that, and I can sympathize with that, but also that is a real problem I had with the movie. It just didn't feel as energetic as it should have been to me.
It's also in the first couple of months, it's all the trash is coming out, so I'm a little more lenient right now. You know? Yeah. Like Beekeeper was my number one all year until this, probably.
I think part of it too is I kind of liked the Mean Girls remake, and this movie has kind of similar things going on, and it was not as good to me as the Mean Girls remake.
Well, speaking of trash, I mean, well, first of all, the last movie I saw in theaters was The Matrix. I saw that the other day. That's not a trashy movie. That movie is incredible. Unfortunately, it was mixed a little quiet. I was a little upset by that, to be honest. It was mixed a little low in the center channel, but it was awesome seeing that movie on a big screen. That movie's not trash. But speaking of trash, I saw ISS.
Oh boy!
Weeks ago, which I'm a big space fan. One of my favorite novels of all time is Seven Eves by Neil Stephenson. That's a book that takes place mostly on the International Space Station. So I was like, I'm going to go see this movie regardless, right? And I watched it with my brother, and that movie was pretty bad, unfortunately. It had some really good ideas in like Act 1 and Act 2, and like starting in Act 2 and especially in Act 3, the movie just kind of fell apart and gave up. You know what I mean? But I'll give props to any movie that decides to set itself entirely within zero G, because just wire work alone, it's like, hey, good on you, gang. You did your best. So congratulations.
It's nice to hear that you liked Moonfall too.
I did not see Moonfall, unfortunately.
I like Moonfall. I'm sorry. I like Moonfall.
All right, we gotta call this podcast somewhere. But those are the movies we saw most recently in theaters. If we come back and do this show again, maybe we'll focus a little bit more on that. This was kind of our Oscar special for our inaugural episode here. But I really enjoy talking movies, and I think I'm having a good time with this so far. So let us know what you think about this podcast in the comments. I'm not sure exactly where this is going up. I think eventually this will be going up on YouTube and Spotify and all the other Super Switch Heads areas. So let us know in the Discord or wherever on what you think of this show and this format, and if you'd like to see more Super Film Heads, and what you would like to see out of the show going forward. I had a really great time. You guys have any plugs you want to make before we sign off?
I'm about to go watch the Super Bowl, so go Chiefs, I guess.
Okay, very good. That's a good plug. What about you, Hans?
Just follow me on Letterboxd at Hans Gougar. I review all my movies that I watch. So.
Yeah. That's a good one. We should give our Letterboxd handles. What's your Letterboxd, Amir?
I think I'm Kid Negativity.
Yeah, I follow you.
Kid Negativity on Letterboxd. I'm on Letterboxd and everywhere else on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And then obviously, if you're listening to this, you probably are aware of Super Switch Heads as well. But we've got our gaming podcast, Super Switch Heads. Make sure you check that out. We're at Switch Heads on Twitter, at Super Switch Heads on Instagram, Facebook, Patreon now, and TikTok. So make sure you go check that out. And if you like this and you're hearing it later than it came out, and you want to hear it right when it comes out, so you get all the latest movie news and stuff like that, and latest reviews, make sure you follow us on Patreon and hit that tier where you can get these bonus episodes first and early. You get them right away if you are subscribed to the Patreon. So go shoot us a follow over there. That's going to do it for the first episode of Super Film Heads, everybody. We love you guys very much. We'll see you whenever we do another one.
Woo!
All right, bye-bye.
See ya.